President. Good morning, AILET 1302.
Good morning, ma'am.
Permit me to introduce myself for purposes of the time we'll be spending together. I was a state and then federal prosecutor here in Alaska for quite a few years, right? Recruit Burkett?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, a long, long time ago. Started out in the Anchorage District Attorney's Office. From there, flew out and handled Cordova calendar because we've got, as you know, a lot of rural Alaska off-the-road system, not big enough to have a full-time prosecutor, judge, and public defender's office there. So the offices of Juneau, Fairbanks, and Anchorage cover some of the outlying areas. Fish and Wild guys, brown shirts, raise your hand. Love my Fish and Wildlife guys. I used to stay at the Fish and Wildlife bunkhouse in Cordova, and they taught me what a Loran was. That's how old I am. The whole slave master thing, and it wasn't even child sexual abuse cases. It was actually navigational. And then I was recruited to go to the state's Office of Special Prosecutions and Appeals, where I was tasked with working on uniquely either factually complex, legally complex, or cases involving questions of first legal impression kind of cases. And I had statewide jurisdiction, and there were two of us. And then I was recruited to go and work as an AUSA in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Anchorage, Alaska. And now it's my privilege. I'm on my third or fourth career, but it's been my privilege in my current career to travel nationally and internationally and have the honor of training law enforcement all over this country and law enforcement from other countries, and to contribute regularly to a number of law enforcement publications as a writer: police.com, policeone.com, officer.com, lawofficer.com, Police Chief Magazine, on issues of importance to you folks. Before that, I was a special education teacher. And I found that very relevant in my career as a prosecutor because I found it was my undergraduate degree in special education and the 5 years I spent in that career that taught me more than all my years as a prosecutor and my 3 years at a pretty decent law school. It was my special education background that taught me how to communicate effectively with judges and defense attorneys. So it came in handy. Now, I had an amazing teaching moment occur yesterday. Didn't I, Recruit Barrett?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I did. You have been instructed by the staff here, if you see somebody on Academy grounds, to do what, Recruit Hall?
Challenge them, ma'am.
Challenge them? Like, you want to arm wrestle?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what are you supposed to do?
Proper introduction of the day, greeting of the day, ma'am. Introduce yourself, find out who they are, and if need be, tell the corporals, ma'am.
Okay, find out who they are.
Yes, ma'am.
And then do what?
If they're not supposed to be on the premises, you can let the corporals know. You can ask them to leave the campus.
Oh, you can ask them if they shouldn't be here. You challenge them.
Yes, ma'am.
If they shouldn't be here, they got to leave.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what if they don't leave?
Then bring up the chain to the corporals, ma'am.
Are the corporals here all the time?
No, ma'am. We have all the corporals.
Who? Are the corporals here all the time?
No, ma'am.
24/7. Are they here 24/7?
No, ma'am.
Who lives here?
We do, ma'am.
It's your home.
Yes, ma'am.
It's your place of work. It's your home.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So, Recruit Barrett
Yes, ma'am.
saw me yesterday. Didn't know who I was. Bad for you, right? But didn't know who I was, and he executed that order, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's reenact it for him, okay,
Absolutely, ma'am.
Recruit Barrett? Let's move this out of the way. Now, I want you to try to remember, Recruit Barrett. I don't want you to act on the knowledge and wisdom you have now.
Understood, ma'am.
We're going to try to reenact what you did yesterday.
Exactly.
Right?
Ma'am.
Yes, and so I drive up in the Ford 450 truck, loop it around this way, park it, and I'm getting out of the truck, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And this fine figure in blue comes running around, only you weren't in uniform, and you approach me, and go ahead. Let's see what you did.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Recruit Barrett, and along with all the other recruits on the academy grounds, we are responsible for identifying any individual we do not recognize on the grounds or in the building. Are you able to provide positive identification for yourself?
You didn't say that. You said we've been instructed.
Yes, ma'am.
I and the other crews have been instructed by the staff to get positive identification. May I ask your name?
Yes.
May I ask? So, go ahead. Do that part.
May I ask your name, ma'am?
Yes. Go ahead. You can ask.
And what is your name, ma'am?
I'm not going to tell you.
In that case, do you have any state or federal government issues?
Well, yeah. He asked, may I ask your name? Yeah. And then and I prompted him, you can ask. And he asked, and I said, I'm not going to tell you. May I ask for ID? Yeah. You can ask. And he asked for ID. Not going to show it to you. Right?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. And then take it from there.
At that point, ma'am, would you be willing to leave the academy grounds since you're not willing to identify yourself?
Sure. And I'm going to take that truck with me. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I got in the truck. And what are you doing, Barrett?
Non-forcefully asking you to stop, which was ineffective.
Totally ineffective. I just hitched myself right up in the truck. The door's open. Barrett's there saying, I can't let you leave in the truck. You can't take property. And I'm saying, well, and I'm clicking the seatbelt, and he puts his hand on the door. I don't care. I shut the door, and I drive away. And what do?
Then I kept the vehicle in my sight by...
It was so much fun. I just whipped the vehicle around. I'm driving fast. I'm spinning gravel. And here's Barrett. Just chasing around. I stop. I say hi to my previous acquaintance and friend, Recruit Burkett. He comes running up. Recruit Burkett, do you know this lady? I tell Burkett, you stand down. And he walks away. I mean, he does his little one-winged bird sparrow thing and starts pushing the broom, sweeping leaves off the road, which he was doing when he came over to say hi. And I drive away again and driving around, right? So, you have a seat. I have a prize for you. But you have a seat.
Yes, ma'am.
And finally, I lose sight of him because I can drive faster than he can run. But I guess he stopped to do something because I didn't see him in my rear view mirror. And I think, well, I'm going to get out and get my groceries, and I'm going to go up in the VIP. And he comes running around, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and we did have a discussion about what are you going to do? And you said, I'm going to contact
Other recruits or staff members on the grounds, ma'am.
Right. Okay, let's let you come on up here.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't give him time to contact other recruits. Pick some. Contact some other recruits right now.
Recruit Bresnahan is the recruit that I contacted on one.
Well, no, this is a do-over. I'm not complying, and you're going to contact other. So get them up here.
Recruits, get up here.
Ooh, I'm really scared now. Okay. Oh, that was effective. What are you going to do, people? That didn't accomplish much, did it, Barrett?
No, ma'am.
No, sit down, kids. Sit down. Well, Barrett somehow during that time, and there was plenty of time, either you had recruit Bresnahan. You had recruit Bresnahan contact Sergeant Sims.
I asked Bresnahan.
Did you contact Sergeant Sims? And you said there's some crazy lady out there, and he instantly knew who it was. Yeah, because I'm the crazy lady. So the staff all knows. Is there anybody here who was not born in the year 1987? Raise your hand. If you're, that's when I first started coming here. That's when I first started coming here, 1987. That's how old I am, Eccleston. That's how old I am. Old, ancient. So they all know the crazy lady. And you were somehow reassured that crazy lady's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Crazy Dane's okay. And so you got the word to,
Yes, ma'am.
and he then was very respectful and deferential, and I said, well, good, we got that straight. Get the groceries, take them up there. And he fetched my groceries upstairs, and then I had him park the car for me. So, why do you think you've been tasked with identifying somebody that you don't know? Yes, sir.
Ma'am, it's going to be part of our job when we get out in the field.
Yeah. And so I love it. And I told Recruit Barrett that this happens every time, right? I just didn't put you to the task, did I, Jensen? Right. You came up with Van Brocklin. Lopez is calling me by my first name, and I should have made him get down and give me 20 right then. Saying, because I challenged them. Do you know who I am? I said, didn't I? And they're, and who was to your right, Jensen? Okay, this Recruit Gil. Yeah, and they're just, and you at least tried to help the team. And all you could think of was my first name, having seen it on the pickup. And so he dared to call me by my first name. And we got that straight. And by then, you'd had time to remember the last name, right? So they knew who I was, so I left them alone, hoping for this teaching, learning moment. Because you took that command, right, to challenge people, and you never stopped to think, what am I going to do if they don't comply? If they don't act in the way I am expecting them to act, what am I going to do? Right? Hadn't given that a thought. So Recruit Barrett and I played out some bad scenarios. Do you know that that's only been a recently instituted task for you? Years I came, decades I came. I had the whole run of the place, VIP quarters. Nobody ever asked me before knowing who I was. And then we had a crazy person in Sitka. Jason, I don't know, Jason is my magic man behind the camera. I don't know, was it 2 years ago that guy, homicidal guy, went on the stabbing, killing spree? More than 2? Anyway, a guy here in Sitka, but he stabbed to death 2 people, right? His grandparents stabbed him to death. And that guy had been here at the academy just a couple of days before that. And that got people thinking, you know, Columbine can happen here. That was our wake-up call. Columbine can happen here. And so we better just not let people like that just have free run of the academy. And signs went up. You see the signs, no public. Didn't you used to have those signs? I'd see people walking around all the time here that I didn't know. Mayberry vanished at that point in time. So they implemented this. They didn't tell me ahead of time. And the first time a recruit challenged me, who the hell are you asking me? And I realized, teachable moment. Because we played out, and I asked Recruit Barrett, and he was very honest. I said, before you could have, sent somebody to go find Corporal, he said, I need to go, you wait right here, and I need to go, I'm going to go check with Corporal Spitzer. And I said, how long could that take you? 10 or 15 minutes? What do you think I might be capable of in 10 or 15 minutes? Yeah. And plus he was going to have to leave me out of sight to go do that. And he carried my groceries up. I put my purse down on the table in the VIP quarters, and I said, except for the fact that I just got off a commercial airplane today and I don't like to hassle it, what do you think would be in that purse? If I lived here in Sitka, because it's in my purse or my fanny pack. Yes. What might I accomplish with that during that 10 or 15 minutes? And the very first thing he said to me, he gave all his authority away. He said, ma'am, this recruit and the other recruits have been instructed by the staff to ask you for to identify you. So where does he get his authority? From the staff, and they've only given him this much. So you better figure out for yourselves, or if you feel you need permission, get it. Did you get permission last night?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, because I told Recruit Barrett, if you think you need permission to keep this building secure, go get it. Because I don't have my gun, and I don't want to be the only one in this building last night going to sleep, except Trooper, if you feel you need that permission, get it. Because otherwise, Trooper Green and I are the only one in this building sleeping last night who would do what was necessary to protect this building and keep it and us and you safe. And I don't have a gun. I asked him, you got a gun? Good. Okay, good. So I slept better last night. But that yesterday would not have had me sleeping comfortable. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do here if somebody doesn't comply? Are you going to run and ask permission? What do I do now? They're not complying. And what are you going to start here and out in the field every single time thinking worst case scenario? What am I going to do? And am I prepared to do it? All right? So, now come up.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
My name is Recruit Barrett, and I need to identify who you are, as you are on state-owned property, and this is a restricted access area. Please identify yourself.
No.
If you're not willing to identify yourself, I'm going to detain you here until I can positively identify you. Ma'am, you need to stay here until I can get help from other individuals on the academy grounds who have the authority to be here, so that I can properly identify you and either ensure that you have business here and the permission to be here, or I'm going to escort you off the academy grounds, and if needs be, contact local authorities to have you dealt with for trespass.
Okay.
All right.
If I show you my ID, would you let go of my arm?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, are you going to let me reach in my pocket?
Very slowly, and only if you agree to stand here and not run away.
Okay.
Go ahead, receive that ID.
Number one, I will tell you, if he wouldn't have even had to lay hands on me if he had exerted command presence. If instead of saying, well, the corporals have told us, I need to go check with the corporal, if he had just said, ma'am, you're not going to stay on this property unless you identify yourself. Oh, yeah? Who says so? I do, ma'am. I will escort you off this property. But if you tell me who you are and what you're doing here, and it's legitimate, I will personally be your escort to whatever. If you had just taken command presence.
Yes, ma'am.
You get my first giveaway prize.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're going to love it. I guarantee. You're all going to want one. Trooper Green actually is going to get the first one, because I didn't have these with his ALIT class, and they are too cool. There you go. Now, these are... You know, this all started with Lance Armstrong, right? Live strong on better pharmaceuticals. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Sorry, Lance Armstrong fans. Sorry. He's raised a lot of money for cancer. That goes in the plus column. But these wristbands are supposed to be inspirational, motivational, right? Or help you remember something worth remembering, right? POW, MIA. That's right. So I picked the color. Like black. Black signals Judgment Day. And the phrase was given to me from a book called Greetings from Afghanistan, Send More Ammo, written by Captain Benjamin Tupper, who was embedded in the Afghan National Army. And I mean it to be very inspirational and motivational. What does it say, Recruit Barrett?
This bracelet says, embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. That's right. That's right. May I give you this motivational?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you go. Have a
Thank you, ma'am.
seat. Embrace the suck. That's right. And what Captain Tupper explained is when he got off the plane at Kandahar, circumstances suck. It's triple-digit heat, and he's not going to a beach in triple-digit heat to lay with a foo-foo drink with an umbrella in it. He's going to be wearing long tucked-in pants, long shirts, helmets, and 50 pounds of gear, right? Does anybody in here know what I'm talking about? Yeah, circumstances suck. You got that going on, personal hygiene. I mean, parasites, fungus are your new best friends, right? You take your boots off after patrol and pieces of your feet, smelling like Limburger cheese, flake off. The food sucks, and adrenaline, because you're running and gunning, is an appetite suppressant. That's so if the bad guys are shooting at you, you won't take time out for a Krispy Kreme, okay? So you got adrenaline, you're not sleeping, because even if it's not your watch on night patrol, you know that's the highest risk time for me to die. And that's all before you even get to the killing and dying. Circumstances suck. So he said, as warriors throughout ages, you have to either let the circumstances completely defeat your morale and your ability to accomplish the mission, or whatever doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And you embrace the suck, and you let it make you stronger. And one of the things that helps you embrace the suck is humor. And he gave an example. They were out on patrol. They came under sniper fire in some little Afghan village. Everybody starts scattering for cover. Cover is good. On the cobblestones, and the sergeant of the platoon, an old man of probably about 24, slips on the cobblestones. And he's on his back with that 50 pounds of gear like a turtle on its back. And sniper fire is all around him, pocketing up shrapnel and broken pieces of rock and stuff. And the rest of the platoon who love this man. And a kind of love that only those who have served in combat can understand. Because he was keeping them alive. They loved him. Are watching, waiting for him to get killed and die. And they're returning fire. They're trying to figure out. And somehow the sergeant gets up on his feet, runs, and is able to make cover. They finish that patrol, and they're back in the safe zone that night. And what's everybody in the platoon doing? Joking, that's right. Joking, that's right. They're making fun of him. Oh, let's all do the sergeant dance. And they're all falling on their backs and spinning around and doing the turtle and laughing and everything. Because if you don't embrace this suck, how are you going to go out tomorrow and do the same thing, knowing the sergeant may not come back or you may not come back? So circumstances suck. Learn to embrace the suck. Bresnahan.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to look me in the eye. And I want you to open up your heart. And I want you to think right now about a value that you live by.
Yes, ma'am.
I know what it is. Do you believe that I know what it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Just read that to yourself.
Never,
Well, to yourself, honey. That means your silent voice. That's okay. That's okay. I was a special ed teacher, remember? We're going to all be winners. Read it to yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I know one thing you live by?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I do. I'm going to ask your permission to share it with the rest of your class to set the tone. May
Yes,
I?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I would like to share one of Bresnahan's life values that he lives by, that I also live by, to set the tone for our time together. You want to know who the quote is from?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
backside. Who is it? You can read this aloud.
Winston Churchill.
Winston
Churchill.
Close. Sir Winston Churchill. That's right, Sir Winston Churchill. Now, that's enough about me and my philosophies that I share with some other people. This academy is about you. It's about who you are and who you dare to become. So, for me to discover that, I'm going to need a volunteer. So, any amongst you who are willing to volunteer, stand up. Have a seat. I learned so much from silence. Before I even said stand up, your class leader had his hand in the air. And then when I said stand up, he was the first one to his feet. Some people stood up without knowing if anybody else was standing up, and some other people stood up only in the comfort of those already standing. Who's got a water bottle from the, yeah. What are the 3 words on the DPS shield? You can read.
Loyalty, integrity, and courage.
Yeah, courage. I found that some of you are less courageous in a classroom setting than you might be out there on the street. You folks don't have any problem with physical courage. I do. I'm a chicken. I mean, once you laid hands on me, whoa, I'm not going to go to the mat. Things take a lot longer to heal at my age. I don't have the physical courage, and I don't have the moral courage. I don't have the physical courage because even when I am packing, if I can safely get away from harm, I'm out of there. You're going to be running towards it to help somebody you don't even know. If I can get myself and my loved ones away from harm without engaging, I am out of there. I will vacate my home. My husband won't. There's that whole thing you guys got with the Y chromosome that really, the testosterone thing. But I will vacate my home if I can do so safely and get myself and the dog out. I'll kill you to save the dog, but other than the husband and the dog, there's nothing in my house that I'm going to try to shoot anybody. I also know I don't have your moral courage. Because, number one, if I have to use deadly force, I hope I can meet the test. I hope I can. I'm not sure. Trooper Green, do you have any doubt about whether you could meet that test? None. That's the difference. He has no doubt. He has chosen that path. He's taken on that duty to protect others, and he's trained hard for it, and there is no doubt or hesitation. I haven't done any of that. So I just hope I can. But I also know I don't have your moral courage, because if I meet that physical courage test, I am not going to fire that weapon constantly assessing the threat, and the minute the threat stops, go and render aid to what was just a short time ago a deadly threat to me, and try to keep that person alive until EMT can arrive. I'm not going to do that. I'm emptying the magazine. I'm speed stripping it, and I got 2 more. And they're going to go in sequence until every round has been expired, expelled, expunged, and then you'll hear a click, 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 and then I'm going to go over and pistol whip the corpse. Because I don't have your moral courage, and I don't have the training to have your moral courage. So, I saw your hand first, Recruit Johnson. Here's what I want you to do. You get to be my Vanna White. Have you ever watched Wheel of Fortune?
Maybe once, ma'am.
Maybe once. So, I'm the short, smart one. I'm Pat Sajak. You're the blonde, tall, good-looking one, okay?
Right on.
Who can't really spell. They don't make her spell. She just has to spin the things, right? All right, come on up here, Recruit Johnson. May I give you an Embrace the Suck wristband?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. There you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Get a marker because you're going to write on the board for me. So here's the task this morning before we take a break. We're going to go around. I'm going to ask each one of you in turn to stand. Tell me your name. Tell me any prior law enforcement experience you have, if any. And then in one word,